What is up, everybody? Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And one of the other things I do, once a month, I host and co-produce online live stream conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization and Dove Men Care. And always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I am jacked for this conversation today. Had an earlier conversation with Jacques Cure. That was interesting in itself. He was supposed to be on at a certain time, and myself and Luke from BIA Media were doing some fooling around to try to help me with my camera. And all of a sudden, he showed up. So we thought, oh, because he's a little delayed, he won't be able to be on that long. He was on for an hour. And it was epic. So he laid the foundation for tonight's, let me put it this way. He was the appetizer for tonight's main course. Now, I love to have new friends on the Dr. Vibe Show, but I like to have old friends on the Dr. Vibe Show. And this is an old, but always a new friend to me. Sheree Williams of Cuisine Noir magazine. I'm only going to give a little bit of background because we're going to cover a whole pile of stuff because it's been a minute that she's been on, and it's probably been a minute that you probably most of you haven't even heard about Sheree and Cuisine Noir magazine. So you need to do that. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about herself. She is about her delicious relationship as a publisher of Cuisine Noir magazine. And I love a delicious relationship. America's first Black online and print food, wine, and travel magazine. She relaunched it online in September 2009 and debuted it in print from September 2011 to the end of 2017 under her company, Sheree Creative Enterprises. It is a lifestyle publication centered on connecting the African diaspora through food, wine, and travel. Like, this bio is long, so I'm just picking because she'll fill in all the other things. In addition to writing about chefs behind the food, she was produced and organized cooking demonstrations with a variety of celebrity chefs, such as Chef Jeff Henderson, Chef Aaron McCargo Jr., Chef Trey Wilcox, all these individuals. So let me go back. Chef Jeff Henderson has appeared on the Food Network. Aaron McCargo Jr. appeared on the Food Network. Trey Wilcox, Bravo's Top Chef. Chef Daryl Daz Smith, the Food Networker. Chef G. Garvin, the Cooking Channel. Kevin Sabraga, Bravo's Top Chef. It just goes on and on and on. Chef Rock Harper, winner of Hell's Kitchen Season 3, and that's how I was able to interview him many years ago. Chef Nikki Shaw, the Food Network. Event culinary programming clients include the United Negro College Fund, Bay Area Black Expo, and the Network for a Healthier California. She was a Sophie Awards judge for the Specialty Food Association, was recognized by the Diaspora as one of the 31 women in food to know during Women's History Month in 2019. In 2020, she was among 26 Black and white women participating in the hashtag Share the Mic Food and Bev campaign created to amplify the voices of Black women in these industries. Born and raised in Chi-Town, she holds a Bachelor of Science in Advertising from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and a Master of Science in Integrated Marketing Communication Skills with a concentration in Public Relations from Golden Gate University in San Francisco. She currently lives in Oaktown, Oakland, and enjoys trying new restaurants, cooking, gardening, traveling, hiking, relaxing. When does she relax? On the beach, and food and travel photography. Welcome back. It's been too long. Sheree Williams. How we doing, Sheree?
Oh, yay, I'm doing well. Thank you.
So good to see you. It's been so long. Now, I'm going to put you on a pop quiz. Okay. So first things first, I made a promise. I did a Facebook Live promoting this. I said, look, I had to cut my Facebook Live because I wanted to cook jerk chicken on the barbecue.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I came back in time, and it turned out good. That's one of my specialties. So if we ever get a chance to meet, I want to cook you jerk chicken on the barbecue.
All right.
Now here's the question. when were you first on the Dr. Vibe show?
Oh, okay. You know what? I believe I know this, Dr. Vibe. I want to say
Okay.
it was in 2010.
Close.
It was either 2010 or 2011.
2011 is good. Do
Yeah.
you remember the month?
It was I want to say around summertime. Maybe it was
Oh,
around
you're
July.
good. You're good. I'm not gonna push you any further. You were good. Now, here's something, folks. This is 9 months, exactly 9 years and 2 months to the
Wow.
day that Sheree was first on the Dr. Vibe show. She was on
Wow.
for the first time on June 3rd,
Okay.
2011.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I knew it was the summertime months. I knew it was somewhere around there. So
And I have been blessed to know her since then.
yes.
So
Yeah.
we go back.
We sure do. Wow.
And so
You're
it's
now
so
big time.
happy anniversary.
Thank you. My
This is
2020 aqua fresca or aqua here in my wine glass.
well, you know what? There are probably many people who are watching this live or watching this on the replay that don't know about Cuisine Noir. But before we go there, share a little about your background growing up in Chi-Town.
Oh, wow. You know, it was a typical Midwest upbringing. In terms of the food we ate. I joke around a lot because we were just the typical Black family in terms of, I remember picking greens on Saturdays for Sunday dinners. I remember some of my first specialties were fried bologna, um, red Kool-Aid, just your typical dishes. So had a really great upbringing. And then I joke around and I say it was when I came to California for an internship in college that I really started to like what is mixed greens and just a variety of different foods. And even when I was in college, because Urbana-Champaign is in the cornfields, as we say, although I heard it's changed tremendously. But even then, it's your typical meat potato sandwiches, nothing special. And so you come to California, I come to California, and it's farmers markets and fresh foods and all of the stuff that really just rocked my world time over time. And then when I was able to find something that I was passionate about writing about, food, and then introduce wine, it was just a whole new world that opened up. So, but definitely I don't miss the snow. So you guys know the Toronto. So I don't miss the winters at all.
No.
Oh.
Well, so was it an easy transition from Chi-Town to the left coast?
It was very different culturally. It wasn't hard, I would say, but culturally it was very different because, back at home, we're really used to someone saying, hey, sis, or hey, and this and that. And something, I get that. Not that I don't get that here in Oakland, but it was just a different vibe here. And I remember when I worked in San Francisco, San Francisco, majority, white. And I remember when my parents finished my internship and I came back home and so we go downtown to Navy Pier and I was like, oh, wow, look at all these Black couples, because I was in San Francisco. I didn't really see until I do now where all the Black people were around here. So it was very interesting to really dig into the culture because I didn't have a car or anything and I was taking transportation. So it wasn't really, it was just little getting used to, but once you get around the water and then you really get into the lifestyle of, just things to do, the sunshine and all that, it's an easy transition. And no snow. Oh yeah. Easy transition. Very.
So the transition, did it take some time? Like, obviously it was a little bit of a transition, but it did last long. When did you start feeling at home in Oakland?
So the first city I moved to was a city called Concord, California. And there's where and so long story short, what happened was, this is where I'm this young child and I'm just thinking the world is mine. So I come out here a week before I'm due to drive with my parents cross country to move to California.
Oh, wow.
This is when the dot-com boom was really going on. So rents were once again high and all of this. So I was staying at this hotel downtown San Francisco, had my little apartment for rent, and I was trying to go around different places. And because I didn't have a job, although I had savings, no one would give me a place. So I find this Concord, and it was on a Friday, and the landlord, Annie at the time, said, come on up. So I go to Concord, which is probably on BART, like maybe 45 minutes from San Francisco or so. And I go up there on that Friday, find the apartment, get the apartment, and then that Saturday morning, go back home because we're due to fly back out here. Because I have my parents, and they were going to be out here for 2 weeks. I needed a place to stay, so it was so stressful. But once I got that taken care of, then I was able to move back out. So I would say, when did I really fit? So that was in 98, I moved out here. I probably got my ground footing, maybe 5 years, because then I had started building some friends and really getting into my groove. I had started to work for Macy's in San Francisco, and we were opening new stores, and I was doing credit card marketing. And so I would say that's when I really started to get my footing in California and be like, okay, this is home.
So 2-part conversation piece. When did you say it's time to do the Cuisine Noir thing? Mm-hmm. And did you find Cuisine Noir, or did Cuisine Noir find you?
So it found me. So one of the things that I think is important about the history of the magazine is that it was founded by a chef named Chef Richard Pinnell, who's in Sacramento. So I had met him in 2005 on a project, and then he reapproached me again in 2007, said I had this magazine, and wanted me to start off doing PR for it. And so I just said, oh my God, this is such a great concept, talking about Black chefs. And so got involved that way. Now, I had been trying to figure out how to get into start my freelance writing career, because I always tell everybody I've been writing stories and really writing since the 5th grade. So it was something I did. I worked for the grocery store Safeway and at Macy's. I did internal and external communications. So always was writing, and always was, oh, you're a great writer, this and that. So I was really looking on how to grow that. So when he approached me with the opportunity, I just thought it was great. And so that's at the time we launched it. And I would say version sort of 1 online was launched in October 2007. And that was with Trey Wilcox as the cover story, digitally. And then what happened was he decided to move on. And then I took over the magazine, took ownership of it in December of 2008. And then I relaunched it as a food, wine, and travel magazine with my team in September of 2009. So that's how that story. So it really did find me. And I'm so glad it did.
What were the early days like? I'm glad you took a glass of water. Take another one. Take another one.
Very ambitious. Very ambitious in thinking, you have such a great product that the advertisers are going to come. You're going to be able to find the right team to work with. And you're like, okay, we're here and we're going to be there. And it's just been like the whole 10 years. But yeah, when I look back at that, oh my goodness, I was really excited, which I still am now, just a different excitement.
Right.
But I was, I had my degree in advertising from undergrad, my, communications in grad school. So I felt I knew what to do in the industry, but some of the things I didn't. So it was sort of winging it, and it's worked out. There's been some good decisions, some bad decisions that I would definitely, I was reading what Oprah said, and she said failures are God saying just go a different direction. And so that's what I look at. If something didn't work out, then I've always said, okay, that's not the direction to go, instead of just like quit, right? Because it gets tough when you have those days, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. I think they do, where you're just like, why am I doing this? And this is hard, and this and that. But then you still want to be in there. It's not, you say that, but then give yourself a day or two. You're like, okay, let's do this now. But yeah, it was definitely looking back into where I am now, a lot of lessons learned, and I do know some things I would do differently. But at the same time, they have all added into the story, and they bring me to where I am today, and they just help me build on to different decisions that work. So,
Who was the first story on for the magazine?
so the very, let me see, I believe I wrote that one.
I hope so.
I know, right? And I'm proud to say that I have writers. I had a staff call last week, and I have writers that have been with me from jump, which
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So Sheree, right there, that's a great testimonial.
Mhm.
And we have many people watching live and on the replay, some in the food industry, some not, but just entrepreneurial wise, what have been your secrets of having that core group of individuals from jump?
So I think, Dr. Vibe, I'm a pretty humble person, but I do look at my style of leadership. And I am I try to remain very respectful. So I'm never going to be like what the devil wears Prada, whatever, where it's like, this story's not good. And that's just not my style. Cause I know once you put words out there, they're out. So I've really tried to, when I'm working with my team, really build that rapport with them, respect their work, listen to their voice, because each writer has their own voice. And so if I'm reading something and I know this person, I'm like, that sounds like this person. And so I don't try to change that person's voice. I just try to, look at where they're coming from and things like that. So I think that is very important too. And then just having a vision and passion of the work that we're doing. And so I told my team, I said, I appreciate you guys. You guys have just been so great. Because I really do, because they see they're working hard, which I see, and I'm working hard, which they see. And just try to show appreciation too. So often you just don't get a thank you. And I just, those words just go so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. So hopefully that has also contributed, because I really let my team know that I truly appreciate them.
I'm a firm believer that whenever you have a victory, doesn't matter how big or how small it is, I like to go, yes.
Yes. I've had to learn that. That is one of the things that I've had to learn is appreciate the small successes, because again, we have this big picture that you put in your business plan, you put on your vision board of where you want to be. And that's what you're focused on, is getting there. And then you could have slayed this and slayed that along the way, but it wasn't the big slay that you're looking for. And you just, overlooked that. But no, go on back and say, thank you for those 100 readers, extra readers, or being recognized here, this interview there. So I've definitely learned that, to be appreciative for every single step.
Nice. What was the first big yes moment for Cuisine Noir looking back now?
Big yes. I would say one of my big well, not big, but it was one of, when I landed my first yes was with an advertiser. It was Kikkoman, actually, was one of my first big advertisers, big for me, right?
Yeah.
So that was a yes of doing that, for sure.
How much work was involved to get that?
It was luckily of networking. And so it wasn't a lot of work, but still, you don't want to take anything for granted, right? Whether you're networking or introduction. So that was great. Oh, and then also, though, the other big yes was working with the multicultural tourism of New Orleans.
Nice.
That was one of my first big ones too. So
nice. I'll see if we can chop it up between the magazine and the industries you cover. But originally, was it the original concept to do food, wine, and travel, or was it food and then it just grew to those other areas?
So when the founder was on board, it was Black chefs.
Right.
It was Black chefs. And then when I took it over, I wanted to do food, wine, and travel.
Why?
One, we have all the Black, well, not all of them, but we have such a nice population, or a lot of the Black winemakers out here, and no one was having those conversations at the time. So I just thought, we knew Meg McDonald from Vision Cellars and some of the others. So it was like, why not start to enter these conversations and make it part of our lives, which it is. And then travel, I always love to travel, have been traveling. And again, there was these misperceptions that we don't travel out of the country, we don't do this, we don't ski, we don't, all of this stuff. And so just like, we wanted to tackle, not purposely tackle, but tackle in a way of just like, this is who we are in terms of the food stereotypes that Black chefs were boxed into in terms of only cooking soul food, Southern cuisine, things like that. We really want to show the breadth of their talent and their skills that have shaped the cooking in this country and world, and so we have in the wine industry as well, and then we are also in the travel. So I just felt it was important to bring all that together.
I'll jump into this now because we could go on for hours.
Mm-hmm.
2020
Mm-hmm.
has been a different year like no other.
Yes.
How has it affected Black entrepreneurs or businesses in each one of the areas from where you sit? Because you have a very unique position to look at, because you are respected and you have good knowledge of each one of those marketplaces.
Right.
What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
So you're seeing in the food world, we're seeing restaurants have shut down and they're doing takeout only and delivery. And for a lot, that business model is not sustaining like they used to with dine-in. So you're seeing that them having to do that pivotal shift and try to find a business model that will allow them to survive. Some were able to secure the financial money. I think it was the paycheck protection. Some were able to receive that and some were not. So, but then you're also seeing a lot of companies like Discover Card is doing a promotion right now where you nominate your favorite Black restaurant on social media and for a chance to win $25,000. So you're seeing companies come forward to try to help businesses that are impacted that way. Marcus Samuelson on the last Sunday or Saturday in July, he did, oh no, it's July 18th. They did their, instead of Eat Up Harlem, they did Serve Up Harlem, which was to benefit the restaurants, the Black restaurants in Harlem, because they know the hardship that those restaurants are facing. So you're really seeing the restaurant really try to make this pivot to try to survive in these tough times, and we're not knowing when they can open up to full capacity. Then in the wine industry, you're sort of seeing a different story. We know that alcohol, at least in the US, alcohol sales have gone up since COVID. And so now with the unfortunate incident of May 25th, you're seeing a lot of recognition being put on Black winemakers, which is great. So a lot of them are noticing growth because sales were already there, but now you're seeing more growth in terms of people discovering their wines and ordering. So you're seeing some, so many that I've talked to are saying that things are doing well. But then we did an article on the hospitality industry and with our Black hotel owners and our innkeepers. And they're really having to be creative because, for instance, Monique, who owns Aquaba, they were like, we had weddings planned, we had family events, reservations. And so they're taking the hit due to cancellations. If they can try to maybe move it to another time of the year. So again, how do you make it so that it's social distance? So that industry is really having to really pivot hard to make sure that their doors can stay open when all of this is said and done, hopefully 2021. So,
which brings me to a number of questions and conversation, because first of all, in the hotel and food industry, those are very tight margins.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very.
And I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I hope I'm not by asking this. If you look at the food industry, the travel industry, the hotels,
Mhm.
what percentage do you feel will be able to survive?
Oh, Dr. Vi, I'm gonna decline on that one because I don't want nobody
Okay.
coming after me. But I really don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
Some have said, I know going back, some have said it's been double digits in terms of from the restaurant industry.
Yes.
That's what I've heard, some predictions around double digits. Not, I haven't heard any really predictions for the travel industry, the hotel, but definitely for the restaurants, I've heard double digits.
How does it make you feel when you hear reports of the monies that were given out to restaurants, etc., not getting into the hands of Black restaurateurs in the same sort of percentage
Mhm.
that it was given out to non-melanated restaurateurs?
It shows that we got a lot more work to do to really continue to work on structural racism that is in our systems, to where we have to jump over hoops and different things just to make sure that applications are looked at fairly. And who are the gatekeepers that are over that money, making those decisions? Is there some type of checks and balance there to make sure that they are intentionally looking at this with an equity eye, is what I would say. And so it really continues to, just like the pandemic, both pandemics have shed light on, food insecurity and how that and what's going on in the food industry from food security standpoint. When it comes to these loans, it does, sometimes it doesn't make sense when you're hearing some of these big corporations who are getting like $10 million or whatever. And it's like, you break that up. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you know how many businesses you could have saved? Or,
Mm.
so I don't know. I just really hope that they're really looking at this. I really, really do, because there's a lot to be fixed. And it has to be looked at with intentional equity eyes.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying too, because my concern is right now, companies giving money to Blacks is the flavor of the month.
Right, right. And we're all wondering how long is this going to last. So what I don't want to see is Black businesses feeling that they have there's always that there's enough for everyone. And I want to, just stay the course and stay true. And we'll see, if this continues, if people who are doing this are really sincere about what they're saying, the changes that they want to see and what they're supporting. So.
Right. You've had a wonderful journey in the world of food, wine, and travel. How has it changed over the years for Blacks? And not only from the service end,
Mhm.
but from the consumer end.
So that's very exciting. So, again, one of the things that we've always wanted to do from a consumer standpoint is show brands that, again, we have great palates, we know food, we know wine. And so I think you're seeing that more and more. You can just look at Instagram and see the amazing food that chefs and home cooks are preparing. I mean, that's evident right there of just taking a variety of different ingredients and preparing foods that they really enjoy. So, I'm sure it was always there, but social media platforms like Instagram really allow that to just come blossom and show. And so I'm just excited about what I've been seeing over the years in terms of our love for food, our versatility with food, and just how we've really been able to kill the game when it comes to just dishes out. And again, not putting on anyone in the box, let people create what they want to create. And it's just been wonderful to watch. So.
One of the things I've noticed over the years is how more Black chefs are being featured in the media.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because I know when you and I started having conversations, we are going, is this ever going to change?
Right. And
And now,
that's
pleasantly,
the reason we found it.
pardon me?
That was the reason why Cuisine Noir was founded by Richard, because he wasn't seeing the accolades of Black chefs who were building, the foundation of this American cuisine He wasn't seeing that, and that's exactly why he started the magazine.
Well, I'm glad you're carrying on the legacy.
And
Uh,
we're also seeing too, which I'm loving, is people really connecting heritage and history back to food. You're seeing that more and more.
can you expand on that? Because I know a number of years ago you got me involved with, was it Dillard? Was it, what was the name of the university in New
Oh,
Orleans?
yes, Zella. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that for me that was a an expansion of my mind. I didn't know the cultural rich heritage
Yes,
of our people and food.
yes,
So
yes.
if you could just expand on that for our viewers, I'd really appreciate that.
No problem. So, one of the things that really passionate about, and I'll say we've got more things to come on this, Dr. Vibe. So stay tuned for a couple of months. But, as you know, people are so proud of their culture, of their food. It doesn't matter if you're Black or not. Just people take pride in the dishes from their motherland and from relatives and recipes that have been passed down from generation to generation. And so I think before there was, we were in the kitchen and then we were out of the kitchen. And then now we're really starting to come back in the kitchen. And so it's, what was that dish that grandma prepared at Thanksgiving, or what, taking a mom's recipes. Because now with this pandemic, we have to cook. Most of the people want to cook. They want to stay at home. They don't necessarily want to go to a restaurant or whatever the case may be. So they're now really picking up and then connecting it back to their roots of wherever you came from. It's just so important. And so now you're really seeing that. So again, whatever heritage you're from, again, whether you're Jamaican or if you're, Guyanese or Guyanan or, South African, again, doesn't have to be Black. You could be Filipino, Chinese, whatever the case may be. We're seeing really people just connecting back to those roots, because that is so important to culture and moving forward for everybody. So I'm really loving that. And I'm a big advocate, and I try to tell a lot of people, my little advocate on the side. But I was talking to a friend Saturday who's a winemaker, and her mom is Panamanian. So, she's Panamanian, and and she was saying that her mom, she was, her mother's Panamanian and her dad's African American. And so growing up, her mom did not teach them Spanish, but she taught them the culture of Panama. And she didn't teach them Spanish because when she came over here from Panama, she had such a thick accent. And my friend said that she was teased, and people would be like, "Why do you talk like that?" And this and that. And as a result, she didn't teach the children Spanish, and the children had to learn it as they were growing up. So my thing is, now, that's part of culture too. Those languages, whatever that mother tongue is, needs to be passed down to the children. We cannot forget that, because that is just important as the food that the culture that you're in is preparing. So
Love it, love it, love it. Well, I'd like to get your thoughts about food encouraging our younger people to getting involved in these areas. What are your thoughts from 10 years ago compared to now? Is it been better?
Definitely, because now we're bringing, and this is something in the works that we want to do through Cuisine Noir. We are now we're trying to do our best. Like, we did an article on food careers. So it talked about being a food stylist. You can be a food photographer. You can produce a food show. You can be a food writer, a food historian, whatever you want to be. It's not just being behind a stove. So there's something for everyone's interest. You want to be at the front of the house. Maybe you want to be in the back of the house. You want to be a pastry chef, an executive chef. Like I said, all the other careers. You don't want to be cooking at all. You want to photograph. You want to be a food critic, a restaurant critic. So what we're trying to do now is make sure that our young next generation are exposed to the opportunities that exist. So that they know the breadth of what careers they can have in food and drink. Same with with anyone in the wine industry. You can be a winemaker, a wine salesman. I have a friend who sells wine glasses. I know someone who sells the wine corks. There's so many things that you can do. You can do PR in the wine industry. So again, exposing, which is so important, exposing the opportunities, I think is important. And that's what we need to do so that they know what can exist. And then should there be an interest, helping them to navigate toward that direction.
Based on that too, what are your thoughts about the barriers to entry into any of those business areas? Is that better now than it? Have you seen that get better over your journey in the world of food, wine, and travel?
So, there's always this thing of when you talk about diversity and inclusion, which are two different things, right? So, like, I love how someone said this, diversity is when you get invited to the party. So I definitely feel that people are getting invited to the party. But inclusion is, are they being invited to dance? Are they getting the dance lessons? What's being done to make them a better dancer, right? So definitely, I definitely see the diversity piece in trying to get that outreach of getting more. But then what happens when you get someone in there, whether it's in a restaurant, are you nurturing them to the next level? You get them into culinary school. Do you help them with any struggles that may be? So I'm definitely seeing maybe the barriers or entry a little lower, but now it's what are those opportunities that lie once they get past that barrier part to get in there to start to move forward. So
okay.
That's one of the things that's definitely been coming up in the wine industry, in terms of how to make it more inclusive.
Right.
And that's definitely been a topic of, when you go to these big conferences, who are the speakers on the panels? And, so you're really seeing what's going on. And it's a secret, at least when it comes to that Black winemakers and Black professionals aren't a secret. You just got to follow some hashtags on Instagram. You'll find them. So again, it has to be done with intention. It really does. Diversity and inclusion has to be done with intention.
Are you beginning to see a gradual change of mindset with the big players in those industries? Like you mentioned about diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. Are you beginning to see, it's probably gradual and slowly, but you're beginning to see a bit of a change of mindset?
So you have some companies like, I won't name any names, but you do see some companies that are pledging to step up their diversity and inclusion efforts, both internally and externally in terms of getting involved. So you are seeing that more. I want to see, let's see, we're about 2 months into this. Ask me probably October, Dr. Vab.
I'll hold you to that.
Yes, ask me in October, and I'll keep an eye out on that. Because granted, too, I was listening to something. There are companies that aren't necessarily shouting at the rooftop that I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? But then you've got some that want to make sure that the community knows, we're pledging to help fight systemic racism or, be more diverse, be more inclusive. So I think it's really just in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When was the first article you wrote about a business outside of the US? Because I know you travel a lot.
Wow. Ooh.
What was the first one you wrote about that was outside of the United States?
Oh my goodness. Well, okay, I don't know the first. Well, maybe it was the Bahamas. It may have been the Bahamas was one of the first ones that I wrote. In terms of a destination, because I really enjoyed that. That was a wonderful experience. And then I'm trying to think who. So when we talked, we really were looking at, we were featuring Blacks in food, wine, and travel. And then on the other side is enhancing the experiences of our Black readers. So letting the, places to travel, great wines that may be Black owned, not Black owned, products that are Black owned, not Black owned. So that's always been something we've moved forward. And then as I start meeting more just great people, really made that focus to say, as you said in the intro, that we focus on connecting the African diaspora through food, wine, and travel. And going back to your original question around the preservation of history and culture, and that's one of the reasons why. one thing that I will say, Dr. Vibe, I'm sure you know your heritage being a Jamaican Canadian, right? But, for myself, I'm still digging into that, right? We've got to do the ancestry. We got to do the 23andMe to try to figure out where we came from and this and that. And so I love, and it's not, it's admiration. It's not jealousy. It's not envy or anything, but it's admiration when people really know how to connect where they came from to their food. And so as I started to really connect with more and more, I was like, wow, you talking to someone in Kenya and it's like, hey girl, hey sis, it just becomes like family,
Yeah.
in Toronto and things. And we're Black people in different parts. And we talk about food, but this is named differently than it's named over here, but it's still the same empanadas. It could be a Jamaican patty, but then it's an empanada, and then it's a samosa, and so just seeing how we all have different cultures, but different foods that sort of come from one another or different takes, that really made me say, you know what, I just really, really, really love focusing on the African diaspora and just showcasing our stories and our connection. And as a result, I'm really excited that, we're getting people who know that, and I can't say we're the only one, but we definitely are one of the major ones that just, just Black culture we fold in. So, this week we're talking to someone in New Orleans or Kentucky. Oh, but by the way, did you see this person with this, cuisine from Ghana or Kenya? You know what I mean? So it's just like easy. And that's what we like about it. And as a result, again, people are reaching out to us on social media to know that, if you're not in the US, you still have a home in our publication because we want our readers to know about you. And so I love that.
Nice. Again, you get the opportunity to communicate with so many different owners.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you hear some common challenges that they have?
Yes. So funding,
Yep.
distribution is still the same thing. There's the spark around anti-Blackness and those conversations that are having there. And then as a result, the systemic racism that stems from, businesses. Do people support these businesses? Or again, the funding for the business, the distribution, the resources that they get. So, for the most part, it's the story is a lot of commonality. So for sure.
Let's see. Before all 2020, March 2020 hit, what was the last good restaurant you went to?
Oh,
The last great eating experience. Let me put it that way. The last great eating experience you had.
Okay, let me see. Because one of the great spots I was at was in Miami.
Okay.
So got a chance to go to the Miami South Beach Food and Wine Festival. So I was like, I told my sister, I said, we got it in, girlfriend, because that was the last big food and wine event of this year.
Right.
So we were able to get that one in. Let me see, Dr. Vibe. What was something that just knocked my socks off? And not like I'm a snooty ooty person. But oh man, so I would say actually when we're in Miami, I have a chef. So I've just fallen in love with pork belly. And
before we go any further, someone is rocking it when they say, I have a chef. And it's not even in the city that she lives in. I have a chef. I love it. I have a chef. I'm just playing with you. We're chopping it up. All right.
So I have a great chef partner who we threw an event together, and he made this pork belly with grits. And I first really had pork belly when I did this event for the Taste of Jamaica back in 2018 in New York. And this one chef, Chef Gary, made this pork belly, and I think I had 2 plates. And so when Chef Jay made it in Miami, I was like, oh my God, I think I almost ate about all the pot of his pork belly too. So that has definitely come up. I'm trying to think of what has been some great. I know this is pretty sad, and I need to write this stuff down.
No, it's okay. Well, you know what? I'll let you off easy. What are some of your favorite foods that you just like to eat? Like, what do you like to eat?
potato chips. With everybody. It was funny because there was someone who we follow each other. She posted on Instagram that, you know, Lay's has their fun potato chip challenge they do every year. So they have like a street taco this year and a pizza and some other one. And she was like, y'all know I'm a potato chip freak. So I bought all three. I'm like, girlfriend, I would have did the same thing too. So potato chips, I love anything with crunch. What else? Tacos. Oh, I love tacos.
Any particular fish tacos, chicken taco? Well,
chicken tacos, steak tacos.
Oh, steak tacos.
So during the pandemic, one of the things that I did do was really get on my self-care. And so I would say that I'm probably about 80-20% in terms of vegetarian.
Oh,
so
okay.
with that, I've been looking for vegetarian options. So from this brand, I don't know if you have it up there, called Morning Star. They have, you know, because I'm a texture girl. That's why I don't like the oysters and the Jello. There's nothing there for me to, you know,
crunch.
And so, exactly, or just feel like when you bite down into something, that's satisfaction. So I found these grillers, vegetarian grillers from Morning Star, and to make my tacos with, and I still load it up with the sour cream and the cheese, and then I'll make the guacamole. And I got carbs on carbs on carbs. So I think that's probably one of my final meals. Between that and a good sandwich, I love a good sandwich. Oh my goodness, with the thinly shredded lettuce and the tomatoes and the pickles and the onions and the pepperoncinis, and the olive oil. Oh my goodness. Those are some of my little simple pleasures. But
one of the things that has come out during this year is the whole area of food sustainability.
Okay.
And I know that that's probably something you're very passionate about. Can you just express your thoughts on the concern and just on my end, the crisis of food sustainability?
Right. You know, one of the things that has really come up a lot is around farming and what are ways that you can do to farm within, you know, to grow your own food, right? And really, and again, going back to, I see Nicole's question, going back to how to get the youth more involved. That was one of the things that, you know, there are some of the schools, some of our communities. So I'm here in East Oakland, and not too far, there's some more, you know, communities that may struggle a little bit more. And so there's farms, and how can, you know, a school or a community center or something learn to, you know, put the students to farm food so that there's a constant food source that's can sustain. And so I think that's very important as you're seeing more urban farms pop up. There was like at least 2 to 3 articles that I read last week around people just really getting more into farming and people really reclaiming the land. And really just, you know, maybe that's one of the things that's come out of this pandemic outside of exposing the insecurities, right? Is that we can get more people hopefully into thinking about urban farming and growing. You know, there's a story of Ron Finley down in LA, the master gardener, who, you know, he says at a tough time in his life, he just wanted to grow some pretty, you know what. And so he turned his street curb into a garden, and
you're kidding.
Yes, just started growing. And so now he has a TED Talk. If you watch the master classes, you sign up for like $15 a month and you can get all these master classes. He tells his story, and now he's like this major gardener around the world because he was in the fashion industry. And I believe he said that he lost some of his accounts. Again, he was going through a hard time and he just wanted to see something pretty. And that's what he turned to, was gardening in his front yard, and look where it's blossomed. So, you know, I would love to see, you know, I think it's powerful. Like even with my young babies, great nephews and nieces, when you get kids' hands into dirt and they start to see the tomato that they grew. I remember it was either first or second grade. I came home. I'm not kidding you, Dr. Vibe. I came home with a cherry seed. And I planted that cherry seed. My parents let me plant it in our backyard. Don't you know, about time I moved from that house in college, that tree had grown, and I took a picture of it.
Wow.
And so the satisfaction that I planted that tree when I was in like the first, second, or third grade. and to see it that was just like magical. You know what I mean? So I really hope that we're really getting, kids and youngsters, because before that's not a sexy job, right? Being a farmer. But I think with all of the initiatives and when they're talking again, introducing, just like, people didn't think, I don't want to cook in a kitchen, but now you see all of the great things you can do with that essential cooking life skill. You can see and serve with your hands when you grow food that's going to nourish and feed a community. And I think more and more people are seeing how powerful it is to really create own food systems in communities.
Nice. Nicole, one of the great supporters of the Dr. Vibe show. And Nicole is a very good friend of Joan Pierre.
Okay. Oh, how's she doing?
Joan is doing fabulous as always. But Nicole is saying, have you ever tried Trinidadian fry, bake, and shark sandwich?
Oh, wow. That sounds like out of this world. But to answer your question, no, I have not. I have not. Now, is Nicole, okay, is she, okay, and is she in Canada or is she in Trinidad?
Yeah, she lives in Toronto. So
see,
yeah, you come on, like you keep on.
Yes.
Like there are so many chefs up here.
I know.
And you know what? I do have to thank you, because anyone that I've suggested to you, you've taken the time to feature them in your magazine.
Yes, and we got to Toronto too.
So thank you so much for all the support. But yeah, Nicole has another whole line of chefs.
Wow.
That are Cuisine Noir ready.
And that sounds like a plan. And Dr. Vibe, how is Ida doing at the book?
Oh my gosh. That's
they're blowing up.
Ida at her a different book list. It's now called the A Different Book List Cultural Center. So hold on now. Hold now. This is interesting, because probably when you met Ida, she had that small little shop.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's moved across the street and it's 3 times the size.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's not A Different Book List. Now it's the Different Book List Cultural Center.
I'm telling you, seriously, Dr. Vibe, when this is said and done, seriously, I'm going to come up there for a week, because
we need you up here. I will make sure Nicole, myself, you hang out with Ita. You can hang out with Joan, and I know that Joan is a serious cook too.
Yes, because she told me about the cornbread. I remember that when I interviewed her, she talked about that cornbread.
Look at this. She's saying Amanda Hammer. Okay. Put it up on the screen. Amanda Hammer makes a black cake rum cheesecake.
Oh, stop now. Okay. Now I mentioned potato chips, but I didn't tell y'all cheesecake. So, I'm down with the cheesecake.
Like, yeah, and then Joan can make some coconut ice cream.
I'm still there.
So do us a favor. Throw your vegetarian out for a few days.
I will. All
right. Let's just make sure.
Yes. And yes. So,
but yeah, Nicole and myself, we will treat you right and proper. My dad with my dad he would do jerk chicken in a smoker.
Oh. So I'm coming back 5 to 10 pounds heavier, right?
Yes, but Nicole also saying we can do some nice veggie dishes.
Okay.
But actually, and I don't know if you remember Chef Latoya.
I do.
Wow, you need to follow her on Instagram.
Okay.
Because she's now out of her house every weekend doing stuff, and one of the things she does is a stuffed jerk chicken patty.
Ooh. I love anything jerk.
Huh?
I said I love anything jerk. Jerk is so good.
Yeah, but you need to follow. But you would have such a delectable and wonderful time here. Like that. You know what? It's going to be an article. It could be a special article for an upcoming edition.
Awesome.
A Toronto feature.
It's seriously on my list. Toronto's on my list. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm doing is because, everybody's got cabin fever. I was talking to a friend. She's like, I need to get out of the US. I need to, but we can't go nowhere because don't nobody want us. And I'm like, save your penties. Just save your penties because
Yes.
day is coming when
Yes.
we're going to fly again.
And folks, Sheree is not playing because we have many an offline conversation, and at least once during every conversation is, I got to get up there. I got to get up there. I got to get up there. So,
I know.
So
and
definitely,
I've got there's a writer, Byron, who's in Toronto, who's written for me. So I'm just so happy that I've been able to build these relationships and maintain them. And so it'd be great my goal is wherever I go in the world, at least I know one person to get something started and to know. And so, but definitely Toronto.
Make sure you come here. You have an empty stomach and you have video camera, even if it's your phone video camera, because
we're ready.
You're going to have fun. As we start winding it down, because I know you always got things to do, there's two things I want you to talk about. Your passion for research and self-development.
Okay.
You're very much into that, and this desire to always grow.
Yes. So I would say, always looking for what is your purpose in life. And I remember when I started working with my life coach in 2016, one of her questions is, why are you doing the magazine? And I'm like, and not that I didn't know, but it didn't roll off my tongue. And I was struggling because I was struggling with the answer because I was struggling in certain parts of how do I get this magazine going? And when things weren't going the way I had planned them to go, it sort of made me question, why am I doing the magazine? So I'm always trying to figure things out. Being an introvert, people are like, you're not an introvert. Yeah, I'm an introvert. Because I love time by myself because that's when I can listen to my thoughts and I have my best thoughts. And so I'm just very passionate, Dr. Vibe, about really being the person that I'm supposed to be, and also passionate about helping others in any way that I can build their dreams, reach their dreams, reach whatever that is for them. And so, and then making the world a better place. So I can definitely say, there's some silver linings to this pandemic. And that has been to really have me, because this was my year anyway. In 2020, I said, I'm going to get it right. What is the next level for Cuisine Noir? Because last year we celebrated 10 years. We had our, anniversary party and was like, what's the next 10 years going to look like? And so with the pandemic, I've been able to really slow down and figure out what that is. And I'm proud to say that I don't believe. I know how to answer that why question, which stems, I'll give a little bit of hint because it's leading up into what I'm working on. That's going to be a big reveal this fall. But it really is about serving and serving others through our stories and through our resources and what we're able to do. And I know that is a passion of mine, is serving. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't get on my nerves sometimes, because they do. But at the core of who I am is I do love to serve. And so turning this magazine into that vehicle of serving in more ways than just telling stories is what is next for us. So.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. And Nicole says, what's interesting, how the people of the Caribbean cook the same vegetable and foods a different way. And she says, I have a great idea for you on this whenever you're ready.
All right, Nicole, we're going to have to connect.
So if I get each one of your permissions, I'm going to send an email within the next 24 hours and you can continue that conversation. And she said she loves this piece on learning and growth.
Yeah. You never stop learning. I don't think you do until you die. And so while you're here, you keep evolving, and who you were last year or this year is different from who you were last year and the year before, and et cetera. So, and it's funny because there's been some moments where I've had that aha, and like, well, why didn't I know that last year? But I remember listening to a podcast with Jack Campbell, who does like the cooking chicken soup for the soul and stuff. And he said, you basically make the decisions on what you know at the time. So if you didn't know that, how could you have made that decision?
Exactly. But see, you and I are curious types, and I always say the more you know, the more you need to know.
Right. Exactly. And it just shows you there's more out there. You just don't know it all. So I think in our businesses as entrepreneurs and whatever we're doing, we have to be agile. We have to constantly be willing to grow, to stretch, to pivot. One thing that I've learned and I've become comfortable with, Dr. Vibe, over the last 10 years is change is inevitable.
Absolutely.
And so I'm a person, I have a very loyal personality, right? So once I've got my same dentist, my same doctors, my same this, my same that, right?
You and I are brother and sister. I have the same mechanic, same dentist, same doctor for years and years.
And once you've got to change that, just your world is about to turn upside down and it's over, right? And so now I think I've learned to accept and move on, and not keep crying over spilled milk, in a sense. So I think I've grown in that sense of just trying to roll with it and to say, okay, time to find a new mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And just do it instead of like 3 days later, woe is me, he closed the shop. It's like, no, just keep moving on. So I think I've definitely started to embrace change a little bit more.
All right. Nicola's saying, I'm in that space as well, and I'm your sister introvert.
There's a book, Nicole, called Quiet, and I think it's called The Power of Introverts. And so I'm really excited because people are like, well, when they think of introverts, they think of really quiet people and people who don't speak up for themselves and this and that. And it's like, no, I'm total opposite from that. But what I need is I need that time to myself. I need to draw my energy from that. And so when I have to, not have to, scratch that, but when I want to do fun things like this and other interviews and other projects,
okay, she's back.
Okay. Sorry, I go back into after I'm done doing something, I become my introvert again, so that I can go back and get that energy and see what did I do, what do I want to do differently, and then move forward.
So I love this from YouTube. Stevens Kossi says, food is culture. Love it.
It is. It is. You know what? I think I'm making this up. I think I am making this up, but yeah. Why do I think someone said like, show me your food and I'll show you culture or something? I don't know why.
That sounds good. No, that's very relevant for Black people, especially.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Why don't you should, if no one doesn't have that, you should use that as a tagline.
Yes. Show me your food and I'll show you my culture.
Trademark it, young lady. Trademark. I think that's a great tagline, because especially in the African diaspora, that's so true.
You can, you can't, and one thing, because I know our time is running out, but it's so funny when you think about that joke, right? And I'm paraphrasing like big time, but it's like, someone is cooking something and they cook it the same way, right? And they're like, well, why do you cook it in that round pan, knowing that there's other ways that it can be cooked? They're like, well, my mom cooked it like this and her mom cooked it like this. You know what I mean? So it's, again, those traditions and that heritage that are passed down. I'm going to cook it like this because my mom did, but I don't have to, you know what I mean? So it really is powerful. It is powerful.
So let's vision right now. We're going to do some vision conversations because we got some time. We got some time here. All right. If everything was lifted, what would be the first restaurant you'd go to and what would you be ordering? It could be anywhere, and it could be anywhere in the world. Just have to be in your neighborhood. Anywhere in the world.
Got you. So while I remember, and I don't want to lose this point, one of those restaurants that I went to, one of the last ones that I went to that was really good was this Guyanese restaurant in a city called Pleasanton that's about 20 minutes from Oakland.
Right.
And that was good. I got a Caribbean pepper pot, so that was good. You know, does it have to be a new restaurant, or can it
Nope.
be?
No, I'm giving you free choice anywhere in the world. You had, and the doesn't matter price, cost, whatever, or be the first restaurant you would have the opportunity to go to. If it say, yep, everything's lifted,
Okay.
you can go to any restaurant in the world. Where would you go, and what would you order?
So I love New York. New York, Philadelphia, DC. Oh, I know. This
Uh,
is simple.
okay,
I got a couple.
okay, you got free reign. Go ahead.
So DC, I would go to Nando's because I love Nando's. And their peri chicken and the Portuguese rice. So I love Nando's. And for some reason, they just refuse to just grow outside of DC. And I think they got a spot in Chicago. I just support it. So in New York, I have Chef Nigel with Ripe Kitchen and Bar and Jamaican spot. And every time I go there, it is a party. And you know, the music is going and it's just great hospitality. And so unfortunately they had a bad kitchen fire that closed the restaurant down. So they're asking everyone to support. So I just, purchased a gift card that I'm going to use in the future. So that would definitely be one of the spaces that I would go back to. Now, on a vegetarian kick of what I really love, in Philadelphia, there is this vegan spot called Goldie's, and they had this tahini shake.
Oh.
I'm still talking about this tahini shake to that day.
Oh.
It was the tahini shake and the falafel. That was amazing. So
Okay.
definitely there in Philadelphia, I would go back to.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Baltimore. So Kapara's Kitchen, she made for me when I went to visit, she did a braised brisket with quinoa that was out of this world. I'm still raving about that brisket right now because brisket, I do eat meat still. And brisket is definitely something that I'm a chow down. So Baltimore, I had a great time in Baltimore as well.
Well, so Nicole is saying a few things about that. Your food is your culture. She says that's an article.
Okay.
And she's saying it's here in Toronto. Nando is my comfort food.
Oh.
Interesting fact. I was told by one of the owners here, their artwork comes from local South African artists.
Because the concept, I believe, is from South Africa.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my goodness. That every time, I'm in DC, I was just there last October, and Nando's, if I don't go anywhere else, I'm going to Nando's. Going to Nando's.
So in a year's time, where would you like to see Black chefs, Black travel, Black wine sommeliers? Or maybe that's too short of a time. Next 5 years.
Definitely platforms to be more inclusive, intentional inclusion. And one thing, I'm still processing this. We are a publication that is niche in that we showcase Blacks in food, wine, and travel from around the world. Now you have your publications that are not niche in that sense. And so they're supposedly supposed to be open, whether you're talking about the American foodways or the Southern foodways or whatever. And they need to be inclusive of including everybody that have influenced that one type of cuisine or that travel destination or the case may be. So from a travel standpoint, definitely want to continue to see all the beautiful Black people traveling, doing their thing. Want to make sure that destinations are open to appreciating the dollars that we bring to these spaces, because we do and we have them. So I definitely would like to see more on the industry side, appreciate our spending power. And that I would say is in food, wine, and travel. Again, from a media standpoint, there's ways that we can talk culturally to our readers that maybe that they won't, because they're doing a general market, right? And so overall, who they're catering to, which is probably the majority of it's not us, we just fit underneath that magazine, but we're able to really get specific and to really tap into a culture differently. So I want to see brands appreciate that and know that we have influence, we have great followers, we have people that are serious about food, we have influencers, all of that. So again, industry, I want to see brands pay more attention to niche publications like Cuisine Noir, and any others that may be talking about food in this way. And then in the wine industry, again, being inclusive when you're doing wine panels and, just again, intentional of making sure that multiple and different voices are at the table. There's, a different voice that a white winemaker brings versus a Black versus a Latino versus, anyone else, African. All the voices are different, and it's an industry. And how powerful is that to bring those different voices together? So that's what I would like to see from the wine industry.
And to close out, 5 years time, Cuisine Noir.
We're going to be making some big differences. Well, not differences, but the impact that I want to have will be bigger than what we're doing right now. And we'll have more of a presence felt around the world.
What I would want is that when people think about Blacks in food, wine, and travel, they think of Cuisine Noir
Absolutely.
first.
Absolutely. And, we've worked hard and I think there's work to do on both sides in terms of, something came up and that, everybody wants to strive to get into food and wine or other magazines, the big ones, right? And it's almost like Mama, I made it type of thing. But, we've got to continue to appreciate, and that's what started when this pandemic started and you started seeing what we were calling performative list of all of a sudden the publications were, Black this, Black da 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 da. For a moment I was like, well, what do I do? What do I do? But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay the course.
Stay where you're doing.
I've been having these conversations. I'm serious about it. We put out a darn good product.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want to see hopefully more, want to see more in the, which they do. So I'm not downing anything in the Black community, but definitely, like you said, when anyone thinks of food and wine and Blacks, they think of Cuisine Noir. So
one last thing I just thought about, Blacks and food trucks.
Oh, it's popping off. There's Ariel Smith, who was one of my contributors. She's known as the Food Truck Scholar.
Oh,
and she follows Black food trucks around the country for the most part. So
wow.
anything on Black food trucks, I defer to her because that's definitely something that she has a passion for following. And really that's her jam right there. So she's been doing some great work in that area.
Well, thank you so much. Nicole says this is such a great interview. Thank you both. Don't worry, Nicole. I'm going to make sure that you two have each other's contact information because I have a feeling. I'm just going to leave it at that. I have a feeling ... That's all I'm going to say. Because when Sheree comes up here, I think I'll only see her when she lands because I think Nicole will hijack her for the rest of the week. So that's okay. But Nicole, Sheree, before we let you go, how can people find out more about Cuisine Noir? And she's just frozen for a second. Okay, well, hopefully we'll get her back. But if you do want to find out more about Cuisine Noir, best place to go is their webpage, cuisinenoirmagazine.com. That's, I got to make sure I spell right, CUISINENOIR magazine.com. Everything you want to know about the magazine is there. One other thing I'd like to say, I'd like to thank Sheree. A number of years ago, she made myself the first international brand ambassador for the magazine. So for that, I'm truly grateful. I don't know if we're going to get her back, so I will just do this. I'd like to thank everyone who watched this live and who's also going to watch on the replay. I'd like to thank Nicole, Stevens, and others who watched. I appreciate it and don't take it for granted. What I'm going to say here, as always, I close out, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. If you want to find out more about Dr. Vibe, go to my website, thedrvibeshow.com. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And thanks again for BIA Media's great production. Be well, everybody. Keep the faith, and God bless.